Hi guys, we are looking at our Chapter 15 homework. Chapter 15 is Money and Banks. And this is going to be probably one of your easier homework assignments, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't study very carefully the chapter. And once again, I want to remind you guys to go to the Khan Academy videos. And I'm just going to open those up to show you for all of these. But you should have hopefully are watching these multiple times and taking notes. But when you open up the chapter 15, you'll see you've got you have four that I want you to look at here. And then when you go on the actual website, like when you open any of these up, like I'm just going to open up this first one, you can see others here too. Let this open up so you can see that this is not something that this chapter actually covers right here, but you can certainly look at all of these. It's not going to hurt you. And since this is the first year let me stop that from playing. Since this is the first year I've taught AP macroeconomics, I'm not as familiar with what is going to be on your exam. So as we get more into the review at the end of the year, I'll make sure that you study everything that's going to be on the exam. But there certainly doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. It certainly helps to look at all of these videos. But make sure you look at the ones that I'm asking you to look at here. Okay. Make sure that you, at a minimum, view the ones that I've got the links to on your course, okay? Okay, now to our homework. It's a very simple scenario. Let me go over here to it, where we've got a bank, and they're calling it the humongous bank. So it's a humongous bank, and it's the only bank in this economy. And the people in the economy have $20 million in the bank, and they deposit all of their money in humongous bank. Okay, so the first question is the humongous bank decides on a policy of 100% reserves, of holding 100% reserves. Draw a T account for the bank. Now your chapter in your book has a really good explanation of what this is, so you can certainly read that. But I did want to show you, let me jump back over here to see what I asked you to do, if I change that any. So I'm just asking you to write out or type out the information. So it's not going to look quite like a T account because that's very hard to do. So I have it. I've got those answers here. Let me see what I've got here. Actually, over here, right? I've actually. This is what the T account, it's like a T actually, just a T, whatever. That's just what they're calling it. But this is very hard to get this type of spacing in your assignment on Blackboard. So all you need to do here is just list it. Okay? So that means I want you just to list it. So if they're going to have, if a bank is going to hold all of their money in reserves, then they're going to have assets equaling $20 million in reserves, and they're going to have liabilities equaling $20 million in deposits. And that's simple. That's all there is. Okay. So the question 2 now, once again, don't just stop the video and say, "Oh, I've got the answers here. I'm done." Right? Well, I want you to hear this out and think about it so that you understand why the answers are what they are. So let's just jump back over here to our smartboard sheet here. It's a little bit easier. So now we're saying that, let me jump to the first page. So the question is, humongous bank decides to hold 5% of its existing $20 million as reserves and to loan out the rest. So what would be what would the T account look like if that were to happen? With the assumption that after this one round of loans has been redeposited back into the bank. Okay, so once again, all I'm asking you guys to do is just put in the numbers, but I'm going to show you the explanation. But all you guys really need to do is just get these numbers right here, but understand where it's coming from. So if they decide to hold 5% of its existing $20 million in deposit as reserves, that means that reserves will fall by $1 million, which is 5% of 20, and the bank is going to loan out $19 million in loans, which appears as an asset. However, since the economy has only one bank and people in this economy put all of their money in the bank, the $19 million in loans theoretically is redeposited back into the bank. So the total deposits rise from $20 million from question 1 to $39 million in deposits. With $39 million in deposits, after the $19 million in loans has been redeposited, the reserves of the bank rise from $1 million to $20 million. We have that right here. So that's how that works. So this is really showing you step by step how the multiplier works, how the money multiplier works, how money is multiplied in an economy. So question 3, jump back up here, is asking us, now the bank is going to decide to loan out all but 5% of its demand deposits, which are held as reserves. And then we want to see what happens after this happens, right? What is their T account going to look like after this second round of loans and have been deposited, back into the bank. Okay, so let's jump back over here to our answers and look at this. Okay, this is answer number 3, right? So we're looking at if they decide to loan out all but 5% of this $39 million, it now holds. Thus, the bank decides to hold $1.95 million in reserves. Okay, because 5%. Let's just so you see what that is. If we take 39 times 0.05, which is 5%, we get 1.95. That's where that 1.95 million comes from. Okay, and then they're going to loan out the remaining 18.05, adding this to their existing 19, and the loans makes a total of 37.05 million, which appears in the table right here, right, as assets. However, the people in this economy redeposit all the money in the bank, so as the 18.05 million is redeposited, the total deposits rise to 57.05. After the 18.05 million has been redeposited, reserves again total 20 million. That is 57.05 million in deposits minus 37.05 in loans. So you end up with this. So all I'm asking you to do simply on your answer is to list that out right here, okay? List it out. Because you're going to have a really hard time making a T-chart with this program. It's difficult. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Now, question 4, let me back up over here, is asking us, as these rounds of loans and redeposited money continue, what is the total quantity of money in this economy? What is the money multiplier in this example? So we know from the book, from your reading, and also from the Khan Academy videos, which I think cover that. Let's just go back and check money, black money. It may not be in here, but anyway, it's in the book how this works. Okay, it's probably in here, but anyway, it's in the book. So let's go back. Whoops, not that. What am I doing? This, right? Okay, so the total quantity of money in an economy equals the original quantity of reserves times 1 over the reserve ratio. That's in your book. So the money multiplier is 1 over R, right? So the multiplier is a 20 because 1 over R is 1 over 0.05 or 5%. That's the ratio, the reserve ratio. They're holding 5% in a reserve, so the money multiplier is 20. Okay, since the bank started with 20 million in reserves, the original quantity right here times the multiplier of 20 right here that we figured out, that's going to end up being 400 million. That's the maximum that this can actually come to after several rounds of loaning and depositing. Okay? Now, the last two are simply asking you, what would happen if a different, well, let's just look at it. Would your answer, would the answer to question 4, which was, what we say it was? We said it was 400 million, right? Yeah. Would that answer change if, or would it be higher or lower if people did not deposit all of their money, which usually doesn't happen? So so the fact that we're assuming that they deposit all of it back into the bank maximizes our answer for the total quantity. But your answer here should be that it would be lower. The actual total quantity would end up being lower if people held on to part of their money and didn't deposit it all back in. What I wrote right here was just simply that right? Would be reduced because banks would have less to lend out, and people would redeposit less during each round of this cycle. Okay. Number 6, last one, is would your answer be the same for question 4? Would it still be 400 million total in the economy if the bank decided to hold a high level of reserves? No, it would not. That's pretty easy to know. It would not. Because if you divided, say we divided 1 over, let's go back up here, down to the answer. Say we divided 1 over 0.7 or 0.07. 1 divided by 0.07, which will be 7% in reserves, is lower, down to 14.2. So you would be multiplying by a lower number if they held more in a reserve. Okay, and the book answer is right here. You can freeze frame of the video and read that if you want. But the important thing is that you understand how this money multiplier works and how money is actually created in an economy by banks loaning money and then getting the loans repaid. Okay. And the people they loan it to depositing it back into the bank. Okay, so that is your homework for chapter 15, Money and Banks.